So, we play a little game. Yeah, I think you know this game.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So, have you played it? You've
A while ago.
a while ago. Yeah. So there's no time for playing anymore.
No. Different types of games.
Okay. So the idea is, as you know, each one of you is pulling one of the pieces. While you do it, I ask you random questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to kind of think more out of the box. I will ask questions which are related to data analytics management, but also topics which I think you are also interested based on my knowledge about you personally. So let's see where it goes and who's winning at the end. There will be a prize for the winner, I can tell you that already.
This is competition then. Yeah. Okay.
So there's no game without a winner.
Okay.
So but let's continue, and who wants to start?
Whatever. I can start.
Okay.
Go ahead.
If you want to start,
So
then
remove.
you can remove. And let me ask you, you mentioned it already, federated governance. And I would, if you have to choose, federated governance or centralized governance.
Federated. Do I have to explain why?
You can, but
Flexibility
Redwan, focus
and
on
business ownership. So.
Okay. So Redwan,
Yes.
if you have to select, would you focus more on offensive data strategies or objectives, or rather defensive data strategies?
I would go offensive data strategies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Hippolyte, please continue. Yeah.
Well, I'm stressed
While
now. It's becoming
Redwan,
wild.
why? Yeah. Why would you say offensive?
I think we've been defensive for a while now. So I think it's time
Okay.
to change the mindset.
Okay.
Make it more...
No. What happens if it falls already now?
If it falls already.
I win.
I messed up your whole thing. Can I?
But you know the rule. If you touched it, you have to pull it out.
Oh my God.
Okay, you made it difficult. Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I think it's the way to go forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. For you, if you have to select, would you select pizza or no, a French croissant?
Oh, pizza for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Why?
I'm not into croissant.
Really? No.
No.
Really?
You're the first French that would say that.
It's too greasy, too much fat.
Okay,
Yeah.
really? Yeah, but pizza is also.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. It's not my thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, what have you done?
Yeah, actually, this is not allowed, but we let it go. Yeah, it's fine. So if you, Redwan, if you have to select, I know that you're also into football.
Yeah.
So if you have to select, would you say that Messi is the GOAT or Ronaldo is the GOAT?
I have to pick one.
You have to go for one. There
Okay, I
can
go
only
with
be one
Ronaldo.
GOAT. You go for Ronaldo?
Yeah, you go.
Okay. I think there's plenty of reason why he can be the GOAT.
I think I would go Ronaldo also.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, now I want to know why.
Yeah. Simply by the fact that he managed to get Ballon d'Or when Messi was on top of the game. So just this, and I don't like that we compare them because they are different. It's different players.
I mean, my reasoning is that I think for Ronaldo's case, he is someone who is a star in a team. You know, he carries the team forward, like with his own performance, and he stands out a lot. Messi is a great player, but he has a team around him that really plays with him. So I think the context is different also.
And I mean, we show that in Paris without like Xavi, Iniesta, it was not the same. So I think Ronaldo is more like you can plug it in more teams than Messi.
Okay.
But it's arguable. Yeah. It's already mine. Okay, wow.
I picked the easy
I
one.
need my question. Can I have my question?
You get your question, of course. So would you say that business is leading a data topic, or is it the EIT that is leading the topic?
Oh, business for sure.
Business is leading.
I mean, the need is not coming from IT, right? You want to create value. Value is not from IT.
Yeah.
Straightforward for me.
But there's still an issue in many companies that they assume that is from.
Because it's due to prevalent practices, right? Because it was IT who's been supporting with all the analytics, giving all the data, giving the platform. So there's a conception that they do everything, then it's their job.
Yeah. You're not allowed to
I cannot? Okay.
to support it. Yeah,
But it's just I cannot get it out. So
yeah.
Pick the most difficult one, then you make the game difficult.
I like challenge, PhD.
Okay, yeah. So, Redwan, would you go for a metadata tool or would you go for a data quality tool? Yeah, as your first application that would you say that supports your initiative?
I would go for data quality tool. The reason is because these days I did also a study on data quality tools.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that many tools nowadays are
This one is going to be
Yeah,
tricky.
many tools.
many tools can already tell you the missing metadata.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that would be the first, and then once I have something missing,
Yeah.
the metadata then tool could be plugged in to fill those gaps. That would be my view of it.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting observation that you made.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah, I go most of the time. I go for that one at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, I just like experiencing this. Okay. But you say you cannot remove from the top?
No, actually
Okay.
not. Yeah, no, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You have to go for the middle end. Yeah. So actually, you're supposed
was
as
very bad.
yeah.
This was the worst.
Yeah. You really destabilized that.
Okay, this one is going to be a risky, but okay. I think
Yeah.
I'll go this one.
So, would you first engage in a project or use case, yeah, to set up or to set up the data management governance, yeah, or data governance, or would you first conceptualize and then engage in use cases? Yeah,
What do you mean by conceptualize here?
yeah, like really come up with the framework, the
okay.
concepts,
the
also.
baseline. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a chicken and egg
It's
situation.
a chicken.
Yeah,
But I think you still need the foundation to work
Yeah.
with. So it starts with, basic and then you enrich.
Yeah.
Sorry. So,
okay. To what extent would you say, yeah, you need foundation? Yeah. So if we talk about foundation, it's such a generic term, but again, yeah, going into what does it really need? Yeah, to say I have foundational wise enough to then engage.
Well, usually you start with, wow, that's really hard to say. I would say it depends on the organization, your setup.
Yeah.
I mean, typically what you start with is these kind of key master data domains, right?
Okay.
And typically you have 4 or 5, right? It's business partner, customers, sales, HR, so the classic ones. So typically you start with that, and these are typically the first domains company try to manage, right? And then you can extend the scope, but without these ones, you don't go too far, right?
Okay.
So I would start with, laying the foundations for these ones, setting up the standards, data quality expectations, minimum viable set of roles, and that should be already quite a good beginning, yeah.
Okay. Redwan, would you approach it rather top down, yeah, or bottom up, yeah? Again, like when we look into the roles and activities, yeah. So would you say you come rather from the bottom, from operational, yeah, and say like this is how we want to, yeah, it counts, all good, yeah. We come from the bottom and try to establish data management capabilities, or would you rather come from the top and say, hey, this is the domain, this is the roles, these are the processes, yeah, like kind of, yeah, rolling out and delegating the concept, yeah, top down. What would you rather prefer?
So I would say that as a starting point, it could be top down, or I think it should be top down because there has to be some sort of a evangelist or champion who's senior, has a wider view of things, can really push people and motivate people to go forward. Once you have that support structure ready, funding for instance, or infrastructure for that matter, then it's time to also bring that motivation down to the bottom and tell people, hey guys, it's there. I want you guys to kind of contribute and bring up ideas and push this management framework or approach forward. Right, so I think it's a hybrid approach, but you start with top because at the end of the day, it's always that support that you need.
But also, I think we have to be careful what we define by top down, because I think it's a bit naive to think that business is not participating into setting up this kind of framework or global framework. So typically what you have is a data governance council, for instance, data council, where you have actually business, also these business representatives trying to raise their voice into what data governance should be. So you might have top-down in the sense of what you enforce, but still you would have business inputs to feed that framework. So just to clarify maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Ooh, getting intense.
Redwan, you have worked in different countries on the globe, and were exposed to different cultures. Do you prefer more the Middle East way of dealing with stuff, or is it rather the European way? If we can, generically call it European.
I think the culture is certainly a bit different. The work culture is also different, I would say. What would I prefer? I think, or I would. It's my perception that you can have. In the culture in Europe, or the work culture, the organizational culture is much more, I would say, forward-looking, like in terms of innovation, in terms of ideas, in terms of making something new. I'm not saying that they are bad, but it's just that there could be someone who are followers of it, right? So you have something here, which then maybe is pushed to their branches or offices in the Middle East, which then adopts this approach, right? So I think that's one aspect of being that is different. So from that perspective, I think I would really prefer this European work culture as well, because if you look at the regulations that are important and stuff, mostly coming from either the US or from the EU. So
you know what they say, the US creates, Chinese copy, and Europe regulates,
It's true.
Especially for AI, it's really funny. Nice.
So would you say that you prefer more the when you're in your work at university, is it more fulfilling to do the research activity in the sense of documenting and conceptualizing, or is it more the engagement with then the companies and others to do primary research, which is pleasant for you?
I mean, for me, I like the conceptualization part, so the analytical part. So the actual research process, obviously it's nice when you talk to people, because you need data collection, you need to speak with people, and probably this is connected to what you said about making sure you discuss with practitioners. But then you have the documentation part is a bit less sexy, because you have to record every single event, you have to record whatever you have done, what questions were raised, and this is always a lot of work, way more than people expect actually. And a big part of our work is making sure we have proper slides, proper work report, everything needs to be documented. So it's a lot of work. So it's not the main, the highlight of a PhD. What is the highlight is the actual insights you get and the analytical process out of it, which then feed back the people that you actually got the data initially from, which is really interesting, at least in practice-based research, like I said.
Of course.
So multitasking is definitely something that...
Yeah,
for sure.
So now, because you just mentioned also different regions, and there's always a conflict of thoughts in a way where people have the tendency of saying okay, a data governance module needs to be localized, or it remains global, and you for example, you have a data steward, you don't necessarily have to call it regional data steward A or regional data steward B. What is here your take?
It's more the federation, huh?
Yeah, again, it depends on your degree of federation. Coming back to what we said, I mean, you need that local presence. I mean, we had this company that basically is consumer goods company, right? And they told us, well, there are products we only sell in the Latin America market. Are you going to ask some people centrally in Germany to tell them what to do? No, it doesn't make any sense. So again, it's what is shared across the entire company should be done centrally. Whatever needs to be addressed locally because they know best should be again decentral or
But
local.
would you focus first on the central roles rather than the local?
You have to start central because first you need accountability at global level, and then you can quickly roll out. But again, it depends by domains, by markets. There are multiple ways you can roll out by regions. And this is also, maybe there's a webinar people can check on YouTube. Also, we have actually showed examples. I don't know if you can also link it to a video, but we have a webinar also explaining how companies build these different hubs. And typically you can, companies have tried different things, but what seemed to be the most successful is typically to align on the organizational structure. So if you have a divisional company structured by divisions, then you place your local hub at divisional level. But then you have matrix organizations, so typically divisions, crossing functions, and then you can also establish hubs at crossing points. And so there are multiple ways, but generally follow the organizational structure.
Who would you rather engage with, the ones that create the data or the ones that consume the data?
Wow.
I think. So this is where let me bring in the product view here, right? So because one of the key founding or key arguments for having the product view is that not much of consumer perspectives are involved in data, right? And that was one of the starting points, because traditionally it was IT giving the data and the infrastructure. But I think nowadays it's more to do with the new kids in the block and what the game these kids want to play.
Yeah, sorry, Hippolyte, you have to go for that one now.
I have to, that's the only one.
Yeah.
Intense moment.
Interesting moment.
Should I, do the
just pull it out.
Do I try?
Oh! Nice try.
Okay, you win the gift.
You win
I was completely stuck.
Yeah, but sorry.
No,
please do.
That was cool.
So yeah.
I think it was.
To you win. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It was a tough game. I thought it's endless what you guys are doing here.
Biggest challenge of the PhD.
Biggest challenge, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I think as I was saying, so it's also about, I think the new view is that you need to understand the consumers, because that's the non-traditional perspective, right? What these new kids are, what games they want to play, right? Why they want to play it. So the more you understand that, the more IT or central teams can adapt to those needs, right? To whatever extent it's possible. Not going into centralization or decentralization, but beyond that point. So I think it's really key because this consumer needs always change over time. So today you have something new, right? 5 years later, you have something else coming up, right? So this keeps changing. This is the change. The change is constant, right? It's the only constant we have. And as a result, if you do not understand that, and if you don't keep track with it, then it's a challenge, in my opinion. So this is where the product view also comes in. It always brings in this consumer view at the center of things, and see how that can be adapted to, right? With the best of our abilities, and how to coordinate the resources around it. You know?
Yeah, it makes sense what you're saying. So if we go back to the topic of data democratization, because I think it's an important topic, especially if we think about data productization and the governance aspect to it. So you already touched a little bit the misunderstandings or misconceptions on the topic. If you have to explain it, and making sure it's not just a hype topic, how would you explain it? In
Data democratization?
Yes.
Well, at the end of the day, it's just a concept that reflects the obvious process that is already happening in company. It's empowering more people to work with data, simply to be able to create value anywhere. And there are so many people still nowadays that struggle with data literacy, that struggle with using the tools. So it's how do we solve this issue? And so sometimes it can be confusing, because in data democratization, you can fit data governance concepts, you can fit many concepts behind, but at the end of the day, it's just reflecting the trend companies should be doing. So making sure people work with data. And eventually, with all these chatbots and GenAI and the hype around it, they already are. So what you're doing is simplifying these people's access and consumption of data in a natural language way, which is really like, a breakthrough, because somehow it really fast-tracked data democratization. Now the issue is what kind of data is used behind, and what kind of data these people also input to the model. And sometimes you have like also security and compliance issues, of course. So again, data governance is, I think, more relevant than ever.
And it is more relevant than ever, and it is more about acting on future-proof topics rather than reacting. We started with the topic of data quality, where we had defects in current as-is processes and so on. But now, even if you tackle them, you do it with the perspective of, okay, I want not just to fix the issue as is, I want to look that it is also future-proof.
Yeah, I think typically data governance has been very, unresponsive before. Now it has to be dynamic. It has to be proactive, to be responsive, to anticipate, but also be flexible to new needs. So it's an entire dynamic. That's why we said agile. It should be agile, at least centrally, because you need to also be able to translate these regulations. You need to be able to translate the new hypes that are worth exploring, and to be competitive, you have to look into that very, very, very fast. I mean, if you look at the AI Act, the first implementation milestone is 1st of January, and most companies are lagging behind. So you can expect also high fees for them. So there are also money kind of challenges behind. So
yeah, definitely there are challenges, because I mean, again, when we look into roles and responsibilities and so on, because all of these topics bring different roles into the scene. Now, I mean, I know many companies, and I say that without disrespecting anyone, but if I think 6-7 years back, a data protector, IT security manager was maybe someone where you say like, they are somewhere, but only because we need to have that. And you gave that role to maybe a senior person who was loyal to the company, who was like, did his work, and you want to keep him somehow still active in the company, but that was not the role, or a role which you say like, hey, that's an important role, and it's like driving and engaging in day-to-day activities and so on. So certain roles now again come out of the closet in a way, and you say like, hey, we need you. So what is your view? Because I think it's difficult also again to judge, because you said it, governance at the end is not only the job of a data governance manager.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I mean, especially with these regulations now in AI, we had the question also like, who is responsible? Is it legal team? Is it data management team? And again, it depends on your approach. So if you're more, you want to avoid risks of fines at any cost, then it's probably legal also, because you want to avoid any troubles. So what we've seen so far is you have typically, you can have ownership on the legal side, but you have in the data management side, people responsible for translating the AI regulations into new governance principles.
Also for themselves, yes.
So you need also this translator role. And this is probably also a new role emerging centrally. Someone able to also be able to translate what regulations mean. And it's so much work. It's crazy. So.
Okay. So, because you just mentioned a new role, or that it might be something that research will be engaged in, to identify new roles. What would you say now some emerging research topics that look like kind of, that they will be now heavily engaged with or will kind of have an impact?
Well, another one is AI governance.
Yeah.
So currently we are looking, for instance, at what are the implications, coming from AI and regulations on data governance, because data governance is the input to the AI model. I mean, you should see really AI governance as two things, right? Governing the data in source and governing the model. So we have typically been governing data. This needs to be, again, challenged and probably need some rethinking based on AI. And typically you also have extensions of your monitoring framework. Am I compliant with regulations? So also in your governance processes, you have extension to account for AI needs, but you will also have to govern the model, and this is really challenging also. So I would say governing the AI model is going to be quite trendy, extremely hard also to study, because typically models are black boxes, and also in the AI Act you have plenty of rules that your AI model should be following, you know, unbiased data sets. So if you need unbiased data sets, then it's data governance responsibilities to ensure that. So again, the connection between data and AI governance is going to be really strong, I think, and exciting also for researchers.
But you would still make the statement based on your current knowledge that data governance will, the same as maybe with analytics, it got extended, in a certain way.
But again, it's what we said. It's an evolving function, a dynamic function. It's going to be there always. Data is going to be always there because it's an input to whatever you analytics model or AI model. So data governance has always been there, will always be there. It's going to be always trying to, you know, update itself to account for new needs, new regulations, new innovations. And on top of that, you might have extensions, for instance, AI models and what may come next. But data governance will stay. And I think will become more relevant than ever, as I said, especially with AI.
I think it's also to build up on that. I think another angle to see is this evolving research trend is also this AI or data will also have implications for other topics, right? So you can talk about sustainability, for instance, or climate change, right? These sort of topics are very hot in Europe, also across the globe, right? So I also think that this data or AI or products for that matter also will have implications for how sustainable these companies become, right? What are the challenges in that process? What are the requirements, and what would be the outcome in the sense, right? So there are also like bigger topics that this research could flow into, right? And even a governance would come into play there as well, I think, right? Because if you are creating data or sourcing data for sustainability or building models for sustainability, right? The governance has to be there to ensure that it fits the sustainability goals also. So I think all of this is kind of interconnected, right? The products come in here, the AI comes in here, the governance comes in here for a bigger purpose. So I think these sort of, I think next few years, these topics could be of interest for research.
I like really what you just said, because it's also something that we see in the companies, but it kind of sounded to me like also in the research areas, you have these topics and you try to kind of engage in them and develop and so on, but you do it more in a kind of isolated manner, and it sounds like now you just mentioned sustainability, so sustainability, AI Act, data productization, governance.
But all of these go together, actually.
They all,
yes.
and
this is something we realize, like at
exactly.
let's say at the mid journey of our PhD.
Exactly.
We just came. I was like, data product fits very well data governance kind of evolution, and AI also. So there's also a convergence of concepts somehow, which makes sense. So, and which is good, because then I think we are progressively making more of a connection between data and value. And we are trying to govern, from the beginning to the end. And I think data product here is really helping, because it really streamlines the understanding of what is our business case, how do we achieve it, and what kind of data we need to be governing at source. So.
Yeah, because if I look at many companies, as I said, it's more like in an isolated way tackled to establish data management and analytics governance. And I always ask myself, like, why? Because for me, there's so much interaction, needed between those disciplines, if we want to call it separate disciplines, and I think it will be the same with AI, that people, I would even make the statement that it's a risk, to think AI is something different and I have to treat it different. I actually just have, as you said, evolve my current capabilities and extend it to a certain degree, that AI is also playing along to these capabilities, because otherwise it's like, again, you create silos, and then the question is again, like roles such as the data steward, they become even more important because they have to stewardship, not like different topics in a way. Yeah. Okay, so you would say also from a research perspective, the interdisciplinary research, will
For sure.
be going more together.
More forward, exactly. We need it.
Yeah. And would you say there's a ethical or social implication also? I mean, you call the AI Act and so on, and I always find it interesting to look into the aspect of, okay, we have a certain way of dealing with data at the company, and then we have a certain way of dealing with data in our private life. So especially if it comes to digital natives and their tendency to share private data, and then you are in a working environment, and for them it's like, no.
I mean, first of all, if you look at these regulations, they're going to harmonize what companies are doing. So that's true. Digital natives, had this tendency of, obviously playing with your data. I mean, that's their business model, right? So otherwise we just die. So, and I think this is going to be harmonized, at least in Europe. Let's see what happens in the US. But I'm really curious to see, what this bunch of regulation, what's the impact going to be? Because is it going to be killing innovation? That's also like a big discourse that we hear also with partner companies, especially for small and medium enterprises. If you cannot do anything and you don't have a resource to not bypass the regulations but work around the regulation and still maintain innovation, it's going to be really tricky. So
I think it's also that reminds me that we also have, I think, at our university, we have labs that work on topics like ethical AI, for instance, or discriminative AI, or the different angles of AI, for instance, right? Which, of course, where data flows in has a big part to play. So I think these research are then looking into what you're really asking, like how does ethics fit into this AI/data management area, right? And how much can we really push forward in terms of innovation, abiding by the restrictions or scope or limitations, whatever you call it, set upon us, right? And I think I think it's a growing research. We do not have an answer yet. It's a growing research. It's quite hot as well. I would say in terms of different countries, different companies, also different universities have a lot of funding in this area as well, because at the end of the day, you're working with data. Data is coming from a source. It could be private data, sensitive data, open data. So how do you really ensure that all of this is ethically used and reused, for that matter?
So what defines ethics? Is it just regulations? Or because I'm in a certain industry like pharma, pharma, they have regulations, but also they rely on certain ethical principles. I mean, you had some scandals in the US on, selling some drugs. So each company has a different feeling of what is ethics. So I'm just wondering if regulations are going to benchmark what ethics means, or still company will maintain, and maybe that's going to be an advantage for them to showcase, how they ethically use their data. Maybe it's going to convince some customers. It's another story. So,
but if it standardizes ethics, then it makes the work much easier, I think.
Yeah, but if you standardize ethics, it's a regulation. It's not ethic principles anymore.
I know.
It's again, what
it's
it
like
is.
it's like when we talk about democratization, then it should come naturally by itself.
Exactly,
what is ethics and not? So, and that's again, if we think about the AI Act, which is now, I would say, like addressing every industry, every organization. And the question is, maybe you have already an opinion on that, is industry specifics. You just mentioned pharma. So do we need to differentiate, if we want to also continue this implementation of...
Some say that. Some say that. But you cannot really have single regulations for everyone also. There are maybe some differences to... It makes more sense to be a bit more regulated in pharma, maybe. Depends. But interesting areas, I think, for...
But also expect this sort of regulations to also adapt over time, right? It's just, I think...
It's a first
version, right? It's a working version, I would say. Let's call it a working version for now. But then it's implemented, there would be, of course, resistance from big companies and big countries that would resist this, and that would probably come down the line. And I think with that, slowly, there would be an iterative process where you fine-tune clauses, you make it more specific for a group or a country or a company, and then you slowly move forward from there. So I think we have to see how it adapts over time also. Right?
Maybe for our next talk, we come back and
Definitely for our next talk, yeah. So definitely, if we think about that, it can be a topic that we can engage in. So I could keep talking to the both of you, yeah. But now coming a little bit to the end of it, how would you, or what would you recommend now, professionals to stay, a little bit like to address these emerging topics and be updated, what would be your recommendation of how to do that? Because as I said, there's so much happening, and you can, you are in that field, you know what is moving on which side of the world even, you tell us that the US is looking different to it, Asia is looking different to it, Europe and so on, and then also industry specific wise. So just sitting there and waiting is probably not the right answer.
No. So I think it's a combination of several things. So I think first, and I briefly mentioned it, I think you need someone now in companies these days that has this role, sensing things, translating that into, an easy to understand message. There needs to be that role, that translator role. And we have examples in companies of people now doing that. So that's the first thing. And I think the second thing relates to what we discussed earlier on. How do we distinguish what is hype, what is really relevant? And I think especially on LinkedIn, there are so many hypes, and you see all these people, making, something big out of something very, So I think it's also being able to distinguish what are credible sources of information. So maybe also recommendation is maybe wait for something to be really picked up by authority outlets, Harvard Business Reviews, wait for official publications, but maybe do not rely too much on individuals that just try to somehow spread their own words, right?
But then sometimes you're just pressed to be the first adopters or early adopters of a topic. Right?
Yeah, but and
that's a challenge.
Yeah, but from what we've seen, it's never really successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can argue, yes.
Because,
also,
if you look at companies, they always ask us, can you show us case studies of people having done that?
Yes.
So some companies also, want to see where the other failed to not fail themselves. So no one wants to be the first, but everyone wants to be the first, So also be strategic into maybe, okay, if you're in a certain industry, maybe you wait for some case studies from, or from some insights, or reach out to, peers in other companies that are engaging and try to learn also where they fail. From what I've seen, people in data management are quite open into exchanging. I think it's a field where people also like to exchange. Like us, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, that would be my
my
hints.
Okay, great. So coming to kind of conclusion of today's session, So my sense is that there is a lot happening, and you just mentioned it again, that you need to find the right sources, you need to find the right network within the company, beyond the company, but it also requires new skills, and maybe even new roles, maybe to a certain extent at least, to observe what is happening around you. So I think so much is happening around us, technological wise, also political wise, with regulations, and also the workforce is changing quite heavily, and right at the beginning I mentioned at my time there was no possibility to study in that field. Now we see here two very experienced researchers in that area who are doing a PhD in it, and there's more people like this are coming. So what we can take away maybe here as a key conclusion is it's not standing still.
No, never. At least not in data field. We never stand still.
It will never be. Can it be?
Can't
be so.
So there's
by the nature of it.
So it's the nature of it, and but what would you say, like, as a key takeaways for our listeners or the audience? What would be the key takeaway which you want them to take out of your experience, or what you just shared today with us?
I think I would say that it's always good to be open-minded. Yeah, I mean, and I say this regardless of any person, right? It could be anything, but I think given that the fact that data and analytics is changing over time, it has changed over time. It is, we think this is the peak of things, but no, probably something. Yes. We have a new peak somewhere down the line, right? So because we always keep advancing as humanity or as a society, whatever. So I think it's good to be open-minded and always be prepared for change, because as I earlier mentioned, change is the only constant, right? Yeah. It always stays. So trying to adapt, trying to learn new things, concepts, approaches, hypes, if you may like, right? Exploring these things with an open mind, yeah, and seeing what can be really taken as relevant for themselves. Maybe not everything is relevant, right? It doesn't have to be, but whatever is relevant, you pick, you try it out, trial and error, and then you pick a new one, or you build on that, you scale it. Yeah. So that would be one of my key takeaways, is that it's not to be scared of uncertainty, but then we'll try to explore and shine some light into it, really.
Yeah, I think just to follow up on that, maybe but it's a continuous learning journey, this kind of field, and I don't like to see it specifically as a field, because for me it extends to IT, to business, yeah, to analytics. It's so transversal, right? It's really, I mean, from data management, you can have access to knowledge to anywhere in the organization, literally anywhere in the organization. Yeah. So if you're interested into maintaining and expanding that knowledge, then you can be really knowledgeable about a lot of enterprise processes. And so keep learning, and also keep exchanging with your peers, because this is really like a key source of learning. Mm.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, keep learning. Yeah, from two persons who are just about to finalize their PhD, and they still say like keep learning. Yeah, so that's a valid point. Yeah, so let me thank both of you. Yeah, I think you have a fantastic journey. Already kind of done, and then it sounds like definitely also it will continue in that manner, and I wish you both good luck on
Thanks
that.
A lot for
Thank you so much for having us. It was amazing, actually.
Yeah, and let me say, like I'm pretty sure that based on what you shared today with us, a lot of people who are listening into it will first of all appreciate your work, yeah, today and tomorrow and in the next years, because yeah, as I said, being as someone who was in the industry, and now as someone who is supporting companies on their journey, yeah, it is good if you have something that you can rely on and can bring in as a good practice and so on. So yeah, thanks to that you are supporting in many ways. Yeah, and I hope some people will be inspired to also take you guys as an role model in that sense, and continue also the researching efforts in that sense. Yeah. So we started with me pointing out a fun fact about a river, because yeah, digital river, and the end is then, or at the end we give the guest also the chance to come up with an analogy to the river. Yeah. So what would be your analogy between a river and data or digital?
Data is like water.
Data is like water. It's fluid.
It's fluid. It's running fast.
Yeah.
It can be reused in many places. Yes. To fulfill multiple purpose, right? And it has value. You can't really live without water/data.
And water needs to be cleaned.
Water needs to be cleaned. Data quality.
Yeah, and you said it even actually before that, the endless route. Yeah? Yes. So it continuously. Exactly. Yeah. So if it's standing still. So yeah, thank you also on that. Yeah. We will make sure that the audience also, I mean, it will be shared, and we will place some links to your work and activities, and you made some references also to the work of others. We will make sure that it is also available. Yeah. But yeah, thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
And we stay in touch, and hope to have you soon again on an episode.
Absolutely. Cool. Thank you so much. Cool.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.